अच्छा ठीक है.
So Saad cleared PMP and we got the results yesterday. Saad, it was an interesting journey. First of all, I would like to thanks Basit for recommending Saad. And now then we started working on it. A very busy schedule. One of the most busiest schedule I have seen in the entire 2023. But I am happy we cleared it on Christmas and we got actually result on Christmas. So I just wanted to say that I really enjoyed the entire journey, the way we have worked along the way. Why don't you share your journey in your own way, please?
Yeah, Amir, thank you. And I loved the initial part of the meetings that we had, the sessions that I attended, but my time zone and the entire timing of your sessions, I couldn't attend it live. I had to watch the pre-recorded sessions. It was interesting. I initially intended to give the exam in June, I believe, but it got delayed with my schedule being a little rough in September and October. It got delayed, and I think we scheduled the exam first on the first week of December, but my mocks weren't going good, and I discussed it with you, and you told me to delay it by 2 weeks. So yeah, that helped me to actually focus. But yeah, it was interesting, especially the follow up, and you followed up with me quite much. Yeah, so that was good. I think you're on mute.
You gave exam in home, right?
Yeah, I gave from home because where I am in Iowa, there aren't many centers and there aren't many center dates available. So it's 5 or 7 in a month, and I
Hmm.
couldn't match it during my work days. I wanted a weekend to do that.
Hmm. Okay, okay. Let's discuss this thing. So how was the online process? Can you walk me through the entire process?
So the online process was pretty smooth for me, but yeah, it was initially I had to download the Pearson View app, and I had to test my network and my system for the test. And they recommend us to test it on the same network and the same system that you're intending to give your exam on. So I my paper started at 10, so I logged in at 9:30. I had to start with the Pearson View, download the network test, and all the normal things. And then I had to take photos of the room that I'm taking my exam in, and
Hmm.
they approved it I had to upload my ID too. Uh, then I think the examiner approved me, and she asked me to step back and show all my surroundings with my webcam before allowing me to start the paper.
Hmm.
Paper was smooth, but the only thing that I felt was uh, because it's a 4 hour, 3 hours paper, and you have to sit at the same place and you have to focus on the screen. So I think a couple of times my eyes went down, and I got a chat from the examiner saying you should be in the video all the time. So
Hmm.
that created a little pressure because then you're focused on seeing yourself, and you're instead of focusing on the questions, you're focusing whether you are visible on the screen or not.
Hmm. Okay, no, no, that is again an interesting thing to put in the context, and that increases more pressure. That is why I'm strongly against
Uh,
giving exam in the home. Okay, let's talk about the time management. So how did you manage time in your exam?
my first session was first section, 60 questions. They took the bulk of my time because that was, from my perspective, that was the hardest session
Hmm.
for me.
Hmm.
And I had to focus, and because I just started the exam, the first few questions took, I believe the when I covered the first 10 questions, it took 15, 17 minutes into the session.
Hmm.
So it was, and by the time I could finish 60 questions, I had already covered up 75, 80 minutes. So that
Hmm.
was tough from
Hmm.
my aspect. I took my 10 minutes break.
Hmm.
And after that, session B and session C were pretty easy. So I finished with 10 minutes left, I believe.
Hmm.
So it was pretty good, B and C. But my suggestion to anyone who's taking it is, even if it's taking the first session, if it's taking a lot of time, people should invest it, because I feel out of all the three, the first 60 questions are pretty critical. You have to read them. I had to
Hmm.
reread a lot of questions.
Hmm. Okay, okay. So if I put it 60, 60, 60, how much it was?
I think the first was around 75 minutes,
Okay,
75.
okay.
The second one was quickest for me. I think the next 60 question took about 50 minutes for me.
Hmm. Okay.
And the third one also I finished within 45, 50 minutes, but I had flagged a few questions. So after finishing, I went to the flagged questions and checked my options. So by the time I could finish it, it was 10 minutes.
Okay, okay. So which area was mostly dominated in the exam?
I think it was people was pretty dominant, and section B and C were scenario-based agile questions. What would a person do? Stakeholder was there. There was no calculation. I think there was one simple PERT calculation. So there wasn't much in terms of calculation. There were, I think, 4, 5 questions for matching.
Okay,
Drop down to the other column.
okay.
Apart from that, it was pretty much standard. The first one was a combination of different concepts. So that is why I say the first 60 was a little hard for me.
Hmm. Hmm. Okay, that's interesting. Look into that. Okay, which area do you think was the most important if the students are preparing for the exam?
I think though it was good when we do your mocks and when we give the mocks, it's pretty much focused towards, for example, an artifact. Where does an artifact belong? Which process belongs to either initiation, control, and all those things. And in the test, people it wasn't demarcated. It wasn't very specific when it comes to artifacts and all, but it was a lot of implementation of these concepts. So stakeholders and people was the bulk of the questions for me.
Hmm.
And apart from that, every question demanded you to think like a agile professional, like a project manager. It required a lot of effort because it was easy to eliminate two answers, but the remaining two answers, sometimes it became, if you didn't know the concept, you'll always choose the wrong answer.
Hmm. Hmm. Okay. So, what is the most important thing if I will put in the context for the PMP preparation? One thing that is most important.
For me, I think keeping yourself, because I didn't need a PMP certification for my career growth. I wanted to do it because I was exposed to agile in my organization. For
Okay.
me, keeping myself self motivated to study to get through it was the biggest challenge, because I we discussed initially my plan was to take the exam in the first month, and keeping that momentum up for 5 months and giving it, that was the major challenge for me. So my advice to anyone who's taking it is, either you do it really quickly when Amir is teaching you, you finish your mocks, you finish your PMP simulator and just give it. Otherwise, getting back on track is really tough if you leave it for 4, 5 months and you just revise a little bit. So at times I had to revise the entire course again because I was forgetting it. Because if I did my last mock in August and then took it in September, I was back to square one.
Hmm. 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 Okay, so if I put it in the context that consistency is the number one key, and if you can maintain consistency, you
Correct,
can get everything. That is the core of the entire PMP, right?
correct. And if people are intending to do it, they can see it's the way you teach it. It's not very tough after getting taught by you. But at the same time, if you leave a lot of gap, then your interest level goes down, and even uh, when you take these exams, you'll have to do double the work. So if you're going towards preparing and doing it, just go with the flow and complete it within 4, 5 weeks.
Hmm. Okay, okay. So let's talk about doing root cause analysis or RCA, the thing that I am really passionate about. Why it is important?
Yes. So from my perspective, root cause analysis was really important, because when at times my concept itself, because I gave so much break in my preparation, through the root cause analysis, I could correct my concept. So you teaching it is one thing, but me understanding it in a different perspective, and then going wrong with a question, then I see the answers, put it in an Excel sheet, revise through it. So in the last 1 week that I had to give my paper, I was just revising where I went wrong, because where I'm going right, I know I'll always go right in those concepts. So that is
Hmm.
why preparing a RCA and preparing it sheet wise became important, because then at the last moment I don't need to revise everything. I revise only the concepts where I go wrong with.
Hmm. Okay, okay. Anything else that you would like to add to the people who are gonna give exam after this?
I think I did a lot of reading on my own too,
Mm,
which wasn't good. So
mm,
if you're taking Amir's classes, and then for example you're feeling free, and I've seen your videos a couple of times, then I just Google search and go to a YouTube video. I recommend not doing it, because then you get confused with the way people are teaching the same concept. So that
mm,
happened to me a couple of times. I stopped doing it.
mm,
And that is what I would suggest, that if you're sticking to a professional, just go with his classes, because then you understand the concepts in the same way, all the
mm,
concepts.
mm. That is
Apart
true.
from that, yes, apart from that too, I was bad in communication with you one on one, so you needed to follow up with me a lot. So that is one thing people can improve on, where the communication can be two ways, and that could help them. It's not you getting help; it's people getting help.
Thank you very much. And it was an interesting journey working with you because when somebody have free schedule, that's one thing. But with a schedule like your, it is always an interesting thing. So it was an interesting journey, and I am happy that it ended at a positive note, and we were able to get it done in this year. I wish you best of luck
Yeah,
for your future endeavors. And Saad, as Basit did, each one teach one is the mantra of the game. Uh,
correct.
ne- the next Saturday we will have PMP marathon. So it will be great if you can make a 10 to 20 question that has a similar context of the exam. So that will be
Sure,
great.
that would work.
Thank you, Saad. Thank you very